Can you feel if your blood sugar is high? Well, the reality is that most people don't know the signs of high blood sugars, and if ignored, elevated blood sugars can do a great deal of harm to the body. So instead of sticking our heads in the sand, let's face our high blood sugars. Let's learn the signs of elevated blood sugars, and I also want to talk about what we can do if our blood sugars are elevated to get them down quickly, with and without medication. I am Christelle from Diabetes Strong, and I've been living with type 1 diabetes since 1997, so I've had my fair share of high blood sugars, and I don't always feel my high blood sugars, which can be frustrating because then they're hard to treat. I do wear a CGM, a continuous glucose monitor that measures my blood sugars 24/7, and I also have a meter that I use to measure my blood sugars. Those devices are helpful, but knowing the symptoms of high blood sugars and being able to identify them are important. Because if you don't, how will you know when to measure your blood sugar to actually confirm a high so that you can start getting your blood sugars back into range? Or maybe even more importantly, how will you start to learn how to reduce the risk of future highs? Brief safety announcement. If you suspect that you're consistently experiencing any of the symptoms mentioned in this video, I strongly urge you to consult a medical professional for a proper diagnosis and potential treatment plan. Okay, let's go. And please know that the symptoms mentioned in this video can be more immediate, meaning that your blood sugars do not have to have been running high for a long time before you might start feeling some of these. And by high, we generally mean blood sugars above 180 milligrams per deciliter. So that's for people outside of Europe, that's 10 millimole per liter. Whereas some people don't see any symptoms until they're above 250. I think one of the most common symptoms is increased thirst. So if you're thirsty all of the time, it might be your body's way of telling you that your blood sugars are spiking. This ties in very closely with another symptom. That is that high blood sugars can increase the need to pee. So a lot of people will see a combination of extreme thirst and a lot of trips to the restroom. Logic tells us that if we drink more, we also have to pee more. And it was that logic that I used to explain my symptoms before my diagnosis. But it's a little bit deeper than that. When sugar, also called glucose, builds up in the bloodstream, it forces the kidneys to work overtime to filter and absorb all that extra glucose. When the kidneys can't keep up, the sugar is leaked into the urine, and fluid is also drained from the body's tissue. This leads to dehydration. Dehydration will give you the feeling of thirst. Then you drink more, which then leads to more trips to the restroom. It's a really frustrating hamster wheel to be on. And I remember back before my diagnosis, when my blood sugars were high, I guess most of the time, to not be able to sleep through the night or sit through a movie without having to run to the restroom several times. A third symptom of high blood sugars can be fatigue or extreme tiredness, even after a good night's sleep. I do feel like this symptom can be a symptom of pretty much anything that we experience in the modern world, but nevertheless, high blood sugars can lead to fatigue because it disrupts the body's ability to utilize sugar for energy. Dehydration from increased urination can also make you feel tired, so that doesn't help either. Another symptom, and this is a really annoying one, is that high blood sugars can lead to blurred vision. For me, that doesn't mean that I can't see or that my vision is limited. Everything is just a little bit more blurry. It's harder to focus. The good news is it goes away when blood sugars are back in range, and my eye doctor has assured me that I have no damage to my eyes. Blurred vision due to high blood sugars happens because now we're back to the water balance of the body. It happens because high blood sugars pulls fluid from the body's tissue, including the lenses of the eye. And this impacts the eye's ability to focus. Now, if your vision is blurred, you are thirsty all the time, you have to run to the restroom constantly, you're probably getting a little bit irritated. But that's not the only reason why another symptom of high blood sugars can be irritation. Because those high blood sugars can lead you to have mood swings, it can make you more irritated and even angry. Honestly, I haven't been able to find any solid reason for why high blood sugars can lead to all these feelings, except for when you're unwell, you're generally not in a good mood. Another symptom of high blood sugars can be dry mouth. And again, now we're back to the issue of dehydration. I do drink a lot of fluid whenever my blood sugars are high, but I've also seen some really good suggestions online. And that is in order to not overdrink, that you can suck on an ice cube in between glasses of water. Those were 6 symptoms of high blood sugars. Remember, we're not done yet. We still have 4 to go. And at the end of this video, I'll also be giving you some tips on how to lower your blood sugars if it has already climbed up and is above the normal range. And I just want to take a pause and say that there's no need to be scared if you have one or more of these symptoms. It might be nothing. So stay calm, measure your blood sugar and see where you're actually at so that you can decide what to do next. If you don't have a meter, you can get a fairly reasonably priced one like this one without a prescription at your local pharmacy. Let's move on to the next symptom of high blood sugars. And this is one that I know because I experienced this myself, and that is increased heart rate. Elevated blood sugars can impact the cardiovascular system, causing an elevated heart rate or palpitation. It's uncomfortable to say the least. I've only experienced this symptom when my blood sugars are rising really quickly. And there's nothing wrong with my heart. My heart has been tested in the past and it's working just fine. It's only when blood sugars are rising really quickly. At least that's the case for me. Frequent headaches can also be a symptom of high blood sugars. For some people, having high blood sugars can trigger migraines or really severe headaches. Some people will only see these symptoms if blood sugars have been elevated for a long time, whereas some people only see these symptoms if blood sugars are low. We're all so different, so it also makes sense that symptoms can vary. The ninth symptom that I want to bring up is cognitive function, as high blood sugars can make it hard to concentrate and make some people a bit more mentally fuzzy. It's not a symptom that I experience when I have high blood sugars, but it kept showing up in my research, so I wanted to include it here. For me, it's more of a symptom of low blood sugars, as low blood sugars can really lead me to be confused and not really know what's going on. But I do think it makes sense, especially if blood sugars have been elevated for a prolonged period of time due to lack of insulin and the brain haven't been getting enough glucose. Moving on to the last symptom, and that is excessive sweating. Some people will experience excessive sweating, especially at night when they're sleeping, if their blood sugars are elevated. See, I did not know this before researching this video, but extreme fluctuations in blood sugars can impact perspiration, leading to hyperhidrosis, which is excessive sweating, or anhidrosis, which is lack of sweating. Well, now both you and I know. Most of these symptoms will go away once blood sugars come down to normal range. So let's talk about how to get blood sugars down if they have climbed up too high. And just to reiterate, the only way to really know if your blood sugars are elevated is by doing a finger stick using a glucometer. But let's talk safety first. If your blood sugar is high and you don't know why, and you don't know how to get it down, or you don't have a prediabetes or diabetes diagnosis, please close down this video, forget me, and go seek medical attention. If you do not manage your blood sugars using insulin, I think the two most effective ways of lowering blood sugars are the following. The first one is go for a walk or do some light cardio. In a situation like this, you do not want to do resistance training or high intensity training. You want to do walking or light cardio. When you do that, you activate all your large muscles and thereby increase your insulin sensitivity, making it easier for your body to move glucose out of your bloodstream and into your muscle and your cells. We do not want to do resistance training or high intensity training when blood sugars are high, because those types of training can actually increase blood sugars here and now. That's not what we're looking for. That doesn't mean that you should never do that type of training. That is great for long-term improvement of your insulin sensitivity. So just to summarize on that, we can use walking, light cardio to lower blood sugars here and now. We can use resistance training, high intensity training to lower blood sugars over time, but not here and now. As you could hear, a lot of the symptoms of high blood sugars are connected to dehydration. So the other thing to do is to hydrate. I generally prefer to drink water, but if I'm sweating a lot or if I'm drinking a lot of water, I might add a bit of electrolyte powder or get a sugar-free sports drink. If you manage your blood sugars using insulin and you already have insulin on board, or you just did an injection, you can do the same things, those two things I just mentioned, for those who do not manage with insulin. But if you have not injected insulin in a long time, or if you suspect that you haven't injected enough, you might want to consider doing another insulin injection. Whether or not it's safe to inject more insulin is highly individual, and it will depend on your specific situation. If you're in doubt, please reach out to your medical team. If your blood sugar is over 250 milligrams per deciliter, you have to be really careful when it comes to exercise. If it's that high, you want to test for ketones. If you have ketones, or if your blood sugar is higher than 300, it's not recommended that you exercise, as it can lead to DKA, so diabetes ketoacidosis. Managing blood sugars is a constant balancing act. So if you want to learn more tips on how to manage your blood sugars, check out this playlist. Also, if you want to see more videos from me, remember to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications. That way you'll never miss a thing. I hope you liked this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.